This is the Disturbing the Peace podcast with your hosts, Justin Lanero and Ruben Stanford.
We have the man, Mr. Fred Segal, on this evening, episode 11 of the Disturbing the Peace podcast, which, by the way, the t-shirts are in, have made their way around the world, and they are in. We have t-shirts. Fred Segal is the man, the myth, the legend behind Twitter handle at Old Takes Exposed, Freezing Cold Takes. He's on Instagram, Facebook. You know, the guy is just, if you screw up, he's going to find you, or his employees, which are his Twitter followers, are gonna, his unpaid employees are going to find you, and he's going to put you on blast. Mr. Segal, you're a busy guy. We went before the show. We were talking. It's a nice, relaxing evening for the two of us, which is good. Also, our producer Mitch Hurd is on the line. What is going on tonight in Florida, Mr. Segal?
Well, it's about summertime. I appreciate you having me on the podcast. It's getting sticky out here. Summer in Florida suck.
Yeah.
So it's just awful here. It's sticky. It's hot. It's humid.
The AC's running.
It rains a lot, but that's what we got here in Florida, and but you know, the kids are about to get out of school, about to put them in camp, and so it's getting near that time. Everybody's kind of unwinding.
Yeah. Oh, well, good stuff. You know, you put me on blast a couple of years ago, and for those of you who do not know who Fred Segal is, you know the name Freezing Cold Takes at Old Takes Exposed on Twitter. I made an Ezekiel Elliott comment a couple of years ago. I said he was a top 5 running back. And, of course, we know who Zeke Elliott is, the running back. He seems like he's kind of a dipshit off the field from what I gather so far. So there was my first taste of you, Fred. And then a couple of weeks ago, I had actually made a bet with Brad Stevens of Yahoo Sports about Patrick Mahomes. And Patrick Mahomes... He had a pretty good season last year, and I was also put on blast by you, which, you know, can if you retweet something, it can really jam you up. So then all of a sudden, you slid my DMs. No, I'm kidding. I messaged you, and we started shooting the shit, and it's just funny how things work. You know, some dink retweets, ties you to a mention, one of your unpaid employees to hope that you'll see it, and you do see it, and then you retweet it, and then there's hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of people that are just shitting all over the take. And so here you and I are, best of friends in the world. And you are on our podcast this evening. You know, you're a fan. Now, a lot of people fear you, which is interesting because you're not a bad guy at all, but you're feared. I've seen you on the NFL Network. You've been all over Ryan Russillo. Obviously, NFL Live, Mike and Mike, the Dan Patrick Show. People know who you are, and it's like I said, you're scary because you don't want to have a bad take,
Right.
But it's a world full of hot takes, and you've gone the other way with it. Now it's cold takes, and now look, you're a family man. You're an attorney in another life, and this is your thing now. So what? You want to talk about a little bit how it started and where you're at now? I think people would love to hear that, including myself.
Well, when I first started the feed, Freezing Cold Takes on Twitter, I was just a Twitter user. I used to just use Twitter to get my sports news. I was an attorney working 10 hours a day, and I just decided to start it off a whim because I was starting to get annoyed at all the journalists who like to pat themselves in the back when they get something right. Because I always remember what they get wrong.
Your memory's good.
Yeah, well, you always seem to remember what people get wrong when it's your team. So you as a fantasy sports analyst, if you say something about a certain player, like say Todd Gurley's not going to have a good season, every Rams fan will pay attention to that. Some people won't think about it, but other Rams will ingrain it into their head. Mm-hmm. And if the second that Gurley has 5 touchdowns in 2 games, they'll come back with it.
Yep.
And it's the same thing with any team in any state. Well, I've always paid attention to the teams that I like and what people said. And I'll remember that a journalist would say something they got wrong, and they would be promoting all the things that they got right. So I just figured I'd start this feed. And I did it just out of awful whim, and I did it really just to mess with them. I didn't expect it to become what it became. But media outlets started picking it up, and it kind of blew up. And I started realizing that I like providing, I like doing this. Not necessarily doing the cold takes thing. I don't consider myself as somebody who plans to have a career simply being the cold take guy. I don't consider myself being a cold take specialist. Like that's what I really enjoy to do. But I love trying to find ways to create content on the internet and trying to and now trying to find ways to actually turn it into something where I could do for a living. And that's what I really like to do. So after a while, I decided that I never was really having the best time being an attorney anyway.
Why
but
not?
Once you find
The money's good. You got a family. People would say, "Wow, he's an attorney." An attorney.
Yeah, I was making good money, and I had a family. My wife's an attorney too. I met her at law school.
Okay.
So, but she seemed. I just didn't like it. I'm telling you, the attorney, the legal field is just filled with people like I was. I'd say about 60 to 75% of the people don't like it. It's very tedious. If you're not interested in doing it, it's very tedious and it's very frustrating, stressful, and it's a lot of work, and it's not a lot of fun. So it's fun for the people who enjoy it, and it's not that many people, and those people will kick your ass too. Because you imagine being the guy who's just like suffering through what they're doing, and then there's the dude or woman who is obsessive and will spend 18 hours on something.
Right.
They're going to kick your ass.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, and those people just crush it because they're into it.
Yeah.
And it's just like any other field. There's not that many people into doing the specifics that it takes to become really good, and I wasn't that guy. So I decided, like, hey, after a while, it took about a year or two to really kind of eventually just say I'm gonna stop. So now I make significantly less money, and but I'm much happier. So it's a trade-off, and I had to convince my wife. That took me like a year. So,
but she's an attorney too, so
right. You need a good situation.
The situation.
You can't just quit and just have no money. You have to be set up, and you have to have support, and you have to be able to. And I have to do a lot more around the house and help my kids do significantly more. It's like a trade-off. So you have to really, really, really know what it is. But if you're going to quit something, especially something that's lucrative and something you worked real hard to get and obtain, you better know that you'll never regret it. I mean, that's really the advice I would give anybody who's thinking about quitting something, because there's probably I'd say about 60% of people thinking about it because they're unhappy with what they do. So
they do it. We work to live.
Exactly. If you're going to do something, you have to know that you'll never regret it. And I got to a point, like it built up to that point for me, but then I knew that the day came, I'll never regret leaving the full-time practice of law. I could be destitute and struggling for dear life, and I still won't regret it.
What type of law did you practice?
I practiced healthcare transactions. I was doing healthcare transactions, like deals with doctors and hospitals and buyouts and things like that. And you're exposed to a lot of the medical profession and how fucked up a lot of the stuff is in that regard, in terms of the way healthcare delivery is the business of it. So
Right.
that's something too. And then the legal field is, like I said, it's not for the people who don't like it. It's really not.
Cutthroat.
It's cutthroat. There's so many lawyers. There's significantly way more lawyers than normal. There are way more lawyers than there are jobs. It's very competitive, and there's just so many people out there who went to law school and didn't want to do it, and yeah, it's cutthroat, and it's overcrowded, and
It's saturated, just like the fantasy football world
yeah,
now. And
fantasy, and soon to be the gambling in general, the sports gambling thing. The fantasy's been going on for a long time.
Sure.
But since the social media came along, more and more people are becoming the fantasy guy, and the people who started out as the original fantasy people really bank, and then you really have to make your way in the business, and but it's going to be the same way with the sports gambling stuff. I mean, because the legalization of gambling, everybody's really trying to get into that, become an expert in that, which is kind of weird to me. The gambling thing, to be an expert in gambling, like it just doesn't seem. It seems kind of strange to me, because why would the gambling experts are usually the ones who aren't giving advice,
Right.
So like
right.
you're not going to make a big living winning 6 fantasy leagues.
Right.
So you're going to be like a living doing, and people play fantasy for fun for the most part.
Yep, for the most part.
So you're giving advice on what they do, and it's more for fun and not for profit.
And you don't play fantasy, which is interesting.
Hate it.
I look at you as a guy that would just love it, you know.
I've always hated it's not that I hate it. It's just like I don't have the attention span to keep up with the lineups and pay attention to the stats and all that. And then I'm like doing a disservice to the league. And I never wanted to trade. And I knew the winning really involves a lot of making some savvy trades.
Yeah.
So
this is my team. I drafted it. I must be right.
Yeah, and I always hated them. I always hated the asshole from the league coming in here and putting and giving me pressure on and pressure me into making a trade. I hated the draft.
Right. Oh, really? It's supposed to be the most. Everybody gets together.
Well, you know what? I used to do fantasy back in the day with my dad, and this was before fantasy was really big. But we used to have a call-in service to call in our lineups.
Wow.
And we get each week. It was called the Aventura League. It's from Aventura, Florida. And we used to get a little mailing with all the statistics and everything each week. And I mean, dating back to 1991, my first draft, I was in 5th grade. It was 1991.
Wow.
The first pick in the draft was Thurman Thomas.
Look at that.
Remember? Yeah. My dad, a year later, made a mistake of picking a kicker early. Chip Lohmiller, the kicker from the Redskins. They had just won the Super Bowl the year before. Because he was supposed to be the best kicker in the league. He was a bust. Huge bust. But, fantasy is you either like it or you don't. I just enjoy the games. I'm really so I don't need it. So I mean, to watch the football games, but it's I never had the attention span for it after a while. But I used to love doing it with my dad back in the day. But now I'm not there anymore.
Now you just shred everybody who gets shit wrong.
Now I'm paying attention to that. But everyone's just sending me all sorts of stuff.
That's the beauty of what this show is sponsored by DraftKings, the leader in one-day fantasy sports. And I have an excellent rapport with those guys. Jason Robbins, the CEO, is just the nice thing about DraftKings. Also, you can sign up if you haven't signed up for DraftKings using promo code PEACE. PEACE, and we'll hook you up with a free ticket and all that. There's my DraftKings plug. But the beauty of DraftKings, now I know a lot of people that play for a lot of money, and I do mean a lot of money. But you're not married to any of these teams. That's the thing, Fred. So that's the beauty about like daily. You don't have to worry about
Oh
injuries.
yeah,
Somebody gets
yeah.
injured. You're just moving right along to next week. I'm not married to this team, and I'll play for 25 cents, play for 5,000.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah, but it's also a lot of heartbreak too.
oh
It's
yeah, sure,
like, yeah,
sure.
you were gonna pick this player, and then you decided against it, and then they have a good game. How often do you root against people that you didn't pick
It's
just
true.
so you for peace of mind?
It's true, and it can.
I'm always wondering. Everybody's a fraud in terms
Yep.
of like journalists, scouts, and all that, because they'll always say, like, especially the draft scouts. And I don't mean this in a bad way that they're a fraud, but they'll always say, like, I hope I'm wrong, but
Is there a good
I hope
fraud?
I'm wrong at this player. I hope I'm wrong, but I think he's not going to be a good pick. He's not going to be a good pick by the Raiders for this draft. Fuck you. There's no way you hope you're wrong. You hope you're right. The whole entire career that this player has, you're hoping that he fails, so you're right because you don't want to be wrong. You're the draft scout. You're the
Right,
draft expert.
right.
Uh,
We're all experts in our own minds.
right. When you give out a fantasy suggestion about which player to start, you're damn well rooting for the other player that you didn't pick, that you told the player not to, that you told the person not to pick, that you told your listener not to pick. You're rooting for them to tank that day.
Right, right. Yeah, right, right. Yeah, it's. I'll tell you what. It's a lot of like social media is wild, and you have a massive following. Do you find yourself getting blocked, getting threats? I mean, everybody knows you. Everybody knows you.
Well, I'm kind of surface level in terms of the thing about what people realize is that as long as I don't overstep my bounds, they're going to look bad by going after me
Right.
because
There's the
it
lawyer in them.
looks well, not just that, it looks petty. It looks petty to go after
Right.
somebody who just calls you out for getting something wrong.
Right.
You're the one who looks petty, and I don't. I've made it. There may be times where I've slipped or I've done something where I've kind of lost touch, but it rarely happens. But I don't go after people personally.
Do you get
Ever.
threats? You ever gotten threatened or?
No, not really. I've gotten some mean DMs. I get a lot of mean DMs from some of the journalists. I'll get funny DMs from journalists, like really high profile ones who will like want me to call out their rival.
Is that right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I get it all the time. Yeah. And yeah. So, but I think I never call out anyone personally. I never really insult anybody personally. I usually stick within the confines of the take.
Right.
So if I post a wrong take, that's it. I don't say that this person's an asshole or he's an idiot. I just post the take and that's it. Make fun of the take and that's it.
And there are a lot of them.
When I first started, people used to go after me so much because I was just another troll on the internet. But now I'm
Not
a troll on the
anymore.
internet with a big following. So if they go after me, I retweet the tweet, and it's like calling on the dogs.
You're
I mean,
you're unpaid
everybody
employees.
goes after them.
Don't mess with them.
But I don't really get any threats. I do get people who more of the time it's not the people who what journalists really hate and the media people really 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 hate, and it's why they resent me. Is anytime they say anything interesting, I'll get tagged 50 times by, even at the point that they say it. So if they say like, oh, I think, even if it's really kind of benign, I have a bill. I think that Pat Mahomes is going to have a good game today. 50 people will tag me. Hold on to this. Hold on.
Well, yeah, put that in your inventory. And you got a good memory, like you said.
They hate it. They hate it. Well, now they have the bookmark feature on Twitter. It's easier. You just bookmark it.
So you can.
But that's what they hate the most. I mean,
Let me ask you this: so now I'm getting a better understanding. I mean, your wife's an attorney. we've gone over this. I mean, if you don't work a day, if you love what you do, you're not working a day in your life. You didn't love what you did, you do now. You're good at what you do. You're going to pick up, ends on the home front. Well, which is the nice thing being home with the kids. I mean, I can attest to that. And how does one that runs freezing cold takes? How do you generate money? Like if somebody were to try to do what you do, and it's certainly not easy at all. I mean, what are you, is it ads and stuff like that? I mean, you said the money's
Yeah,
significantly like
it's
less.
hustling. Yeah, it's hustling like that.
No swag.
Not. I tried at one point selling swag. You really have to sell. You really have to sell a lot. I like kind of like what Barstool Sports does.
Yeah.
Where they're able to. They have like I'm sure that they have someone on call.
Sure.
Second anything happens, they come up with some sort of T-shirt related to that event and promote it within 2 hours of it happening.
They have blown up.
Oh yeah, they've blown up oh yeah. I mean, since they got bought out by venture capitalists,
right.
And they got that kind of money. They're crazy now, but it's going. Yeah, it's a tremendous amount of.
Are you a Barstool guy or?
I like them. Yeah, I mean, there's certain parts I enjoy. I enjoy it, but they're all across the spectrum. So like, there's certain people that I don't care to pay attention to, but there's some that I do like. But I mean, they definitely don't offend me. But what they do with the T-shirts, like that type of stuff, is good. But it takes a lot. What you do is you promote. You can make deals with people that you're going to promote their content, and when you promote their content, you get a certain amount of money related to the amount of people see the content, or you promote games like fantasy games, something like DraftKings or something like other companies who have these games, and the more people who sign up, the more money you get from the promotion.
If you're promoting it, then one would think, he retweeted it. This has got to be like, if you retweet something to me that's positive, I'm like, it's like, oh God, he's making fun of my podcast.
Yeah, I know. Some people think that, but you have to do it creatively, in a way that people may see that it's not really there. Instagram stories are a great place to promote.
Okay, yeah, we touched on that a little.
The more following you have, the more chances you're going to have people see your content. But yeah, it's a hustle, and it has made my feed and especially my Instagram account. It's made it more commercialized. I think people understand that it's a business now, which is people. I mean, as a consumer of internet content myself, it's always dilutes the feed when you see that they're trying to make money.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, But it's certainly not lucrative. It's not lucrative. Just your own shop. You got to keep doing it for it to make more and more money. So anybody who's sitting there thinking that they can just make a living doing the internet stuff and right away and be profitable, extremely profitable, then no, it takes a lot of work, and I'm doing it all day long. I mean,
all day long you're doing it? What are you doing all day long? You're an army of one, I know that much.
Yeah.
What are you doing all day long?
Oh, well,
you're in your bathrobe.
Doing stuff around the house. Yeah, I'm doing stuff around the house. I'm doing, making sure everything's okay, running all the errands, doing all that stuff, like Mr. Dad,
That's awesome.
Keeping up with all my feeds. Now I've started new feeds too on my Instagram. I've created new feeds. You gotta follow my This Day in Sports Clips feed. This Day in Sports Clips he's followed on Instagram. It's a clip of a clip that something happened. Like I put 4 a day. So you put like May 26th, 1990, the 2002. This play happened.
Okay.
I post the clip of the play. It takes a long time for me to run it, but I'm already up to like 40,000 followers, and by the
Well, you have
time.
more than that on Instagram.
Well, on Freezing Cold Takes, I have way more than that, but I'm on my new account. So you start leveraging all your followers into
Yep.
new accounts, new
Yep.
fun, creative accounts,
Yep.
and those accounts are fun to run. And then you take your followers, you say, look, follow this account, and leverage the accounts. Then you make a new account, and you make another account, and then it's more accounts to leverage to be able to tell people, hey, I'm going to promote your content, and you're going to get more and more money. So it's constant creativity, trying to come up with different ideas for all the different accounts. So it's that's where it is. But that's how you make money. And
Hustling,
I
grinding.
want hustling. Hopefully, you develop more partnerships with people who have bigger pockets and things like that. And
Look at
it's
Barstool
fun.
Sports. I mean,
Barstool Sports. I don't know if I aspire to be in that big of a space, but it's that big. But when they first started, I'm sure Dave Portnoy was hustling his ass off and had a very small contingent of people reading his stuff, and then
right.
it
Well, that's kind
blows
of like
up.
you, though. It's kind of like you, though. But you don't
Yeah.
seem like that boastful type of person where you're just like,
No,
yeah, man,
I'm
I
not, and
want
I'm
you
not as
little.
much of a performer, but I do, and I'm more of a family guy.
Yep.
I
Yep.
don't, I can't be a slave to. I'm a slave to my work, but at my own time. So when you're running Barstool Sports, you got to keep it going and going and going and going. You got to be out and about. You got to do all this stuff, and right now, I mean, that's just not me. I'm the type of guy who stays home. I'm with my family all the time, always with my kids, always figuring things. So it's different. I mean, if you want to be one of those guys like Dave,
He doesn't have any kids though, or he's married, so the
well,
situation's different.
yes, exactly. I mean, you are who you are, and you do what you want. And obviously, he wanted to make it really big, and he was real successful at it. And it's fun. I mean, it's a funny company. The content that they put out.
Yep.
So
you don't have any employees, right? You don't have any assistants.
No
just
assistants, no employees, just me. Yeah. So
the
don't
payroll,
answer to
the
anybody.
overhead is your overhead's
Overhead
pretty low,
is my phone bill.
which is a tax write off.
Exactly.
Right.
It's an expense. Yeah. So yeah. So that's a good part about it. Now, if the more accounts I create, eventually I won't be able to do it by myself.
Do you think that gets carried away? I mean, does that get redundant? Like, I mean,
they're called old takes. Yeah, sometimes. I mean, but when you're focused on creating, on becoming bigger, and you're in a position where you have to become bigger. You're motivated because you have to make more money. You have to do this. You have a family and everything. You kind of don't pay attention to the redundancy of it because you're motivated. Now, they're probably sure that gets to a point where you've made a lot of money, and if you become successful, you want to do something different.
Right.
But
you're still growing.
You're
still growing.
Oh yeah, I haven't even hit the tip of the iceberg of what I want to be. So I'm trying to keep moving, and you got to create more platforms and create more outlets and more feeds. So
now, what about your website? Do you have a website?
I did do a website back in the day, but it was too much work, and I wasn't seeing the return. I just didn't see it.
It wasn't worth it when you have.
Well, I also was doing it while I was practicing law too.
Well, there you go. Timing sucked.
Yeah, I mean, I was doing it 10 hours a day. I was practicing law 10 hours a day and trying to keep up with the website. So it was really hard. But I just didn't. Once I realized that I didn't like it, I wasn't. I just didn't see how it was sustainable. The work I was putting in to the amount I could get out in terms of like what I was doing with my life. So So
this is good stuff.
Fizzled out. So you got to be comfortable with what you're doing. And I was never really comfortable with writing on a daily basis either.
No, you're not. You're not.
No.
You just like a couple retweets and a
No,
quote.
a couple. No, like my mind is very scattered. So I like to keep it with but I mean, there's obviously things I'm going to have to get into more if I want to do more than just do Instagram and Twitter.
Facebook too. You're on Facebook.
Facebook sucks.
Yeah,
it's impossible to get followers on Facebook.
It's interesting. It's interesting. I feel like Facebook is like intimate. It's supposed to be, but there are a lot of people running. Now, what about YouTube? Is there a market for you
YouTube. You just got to be entertaining. I mean, I would have to get myself into it, but the people who create, who have big followings on YouTube make the most money.
It's
sure.
It's unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
The kids some of the shit that my kids watch. I mean, it is some of the dumbest shit.
Do you have a daughter?
Yeah, I do. She's
okay.
3,
So she watched those LOL surprise toys where they open up like the toys.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable. They make so much money. Those people.
20 million views, and I'm like, who the fuck is watching?
It's opening the toys. It's the element of surprise. The best thing, you get these LOL toys, and they come in like this little egg. You open it up. That's a surprise. Yeah, you have this toy.
Yep.
And then the toy isn't that great, so they don't really use it that much. And then they just want more because they want more surprise. They want the element of surprise. And then the company will send it to these kids, these YouTube influencers, and then all the kids will watch it and want to buy it.
Yep.
It's a whole racket.
It is. But some people are making a lot of money. Mitch, you still here?
Yeah.
I'm with you. And actually, I was really captivated by some of what Fred was saying. And I'm listening to your hustle, Fred, and I gotta give you the utmost respect because you're in the business of selling entertainment. Like your commodity is entertainment, which means it's fleeting, it's temporary, it's constantly changing, and you've gotta deliver something new and fresh like so frequently that it's sort of like a burden. Whereas like a lot of the digital marketing people that I sort of follow, like I'll jump on an email list for this personal trainer selling his thing, or this guru selling her thing over here. And when I'm getting their emails daily, you can tell that they've sort of pre-written, pre-scripted all these emails, and they have them coming out on a schedule. You can't do that. You have to sort of like stay up, and that's why I think what you're doing is extra tough. And
it's hard.
Is there a way that you can do that? Is there a way that you could possibly get some?
Not for freezing cold takes.
Right.
I mean, like I could for very few, but you really want to keep up with what's going on, so you have to react to it. Now I have this new feed I started, This Day in Sports Clips, which I really enjoy doing. That I could do is on schedule.
Nice.
But it's that I put a lot of work into that. But you have to come up with it. It's just every day, and it's every day.
Oh.
So I was on a cruise too,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just like my regular day at home. So except I was on the cruise, but I went on a cruise with my family to, the Caribbean, and it was a week on the boat, and the whole time I was doing the cruise stuff, and in the middle, I was doing the same amount of stuff for my feed the whole time.
Jeez.
So it's like you never stop. There's no vacation for it.
Nope.
So you just got to keep going and going and going, and it's still like the money. You got to keep hustling until it really starts getting bigger and bigger, and and you also never know how big it's really going to get too. So it's not like the glamour thing about quitting your job, and I bet I can't imagine anybody who's quit their lucrative jobs at 36 or 37, however old I was, started out with a bang with their new venture. But
Probably
I'm doing pretty well. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, it's easier when you're 22. If you're 22 and you're
with no
busting
kids.
out with no kids and doing all the work and hustling but I'm starting from the bottom at 36, but I'm telling you, if you're in my spot, I mean, that would be anyone who's listening, that would be the thing I would tell you the most. If you're in my spot, where you're not where you're not happy, even no matter how much you're making, no matter what you're doing, if you know that you're never going to be happy, then you highly consider making yourself happy by doing something else.
Listen to you.
Very
This is the
controlled,
guy
but you
that
have to be very
buries everybody
controlled.
else.
You have to be very controlled about it. You have to be very smart about it. But
Sure.
but it's because it's much better. It's the whole everything. Like every time I interact with my children, I'm happier. Like it's you never
Happy
realize
husband. Happy
happy
husband.
happy husband, happy happy kids, happy wife because all the stuff when she comes home, everything's taken care of. But
Right, that's your
obviously,
role.
there's less money though. But you have to have support. You feel a lot of support. But that's what I would say. I mean, it's not.
That's good stuff, man.
The cold
That's really
take
good.
guy. A lot of people think I just like bank.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
they really do.
you're verified,
and verified. Yeah, that
which
was
is
cool. Which is yeah. I mean, there's like 10. They approached me about it. There's like 10 fake freezing cold takes accounts. That's why they did it.
I was once verified, and I was told to switch my handle, and I did. I'll never forget where I was when it happened. And one of Twitter's no-nos is switching your Twitter
Your
handle.
handle name.
And
Yeah.
instantly it went away. And let me tell you, to get in touch with Twitter is impossible. I have
Oh,
had
so now
people,
you want to get verified again?
now
You
I
can't.
well, it helps with like you
Engagement
said,
for sure.
engagement, leveraging, and people know who I am, but it just boom, it went away, and like you cannot reach Twitter. I have yet to meet somebody that works at Twitter that email after email, and now they're not accepting any more applications. So I am unverified.
You're unverified. And the one thing about verified is I noticed when I became the verified Twitter is that when people who have really large accounts and are famous and you'd like for them to spread the word about your account in any way, which is reply, they seem to have a notification. So they seem to get notifications only from verified accounts.
It's a big club, and I'm not.
And then when you like one of their tweets or you post something and tag them, they will notice it and then retweet it or whatever, and that's what you want.
This is getting me depressed. This is getting.
Oh yeah, you're not verified. I don't think it's that big of a deal.
It's not that big of a deal. It just helps. I mean, with this whole show, the premise has been, leveraging followers, gaining followers. You're grinding away, and of course that helped. And I can look back to what you were saying about being happy before we wrap up. And obviously, this is a project that I do with Ruben and Mr. Hurd. I am an alcoholic, and I stopped drinking at 30. And the magazines that and I've said it before on the show, that I used to drool on when I was shit-faced and spend $8 on at Barnes & Nobles, I'm able to be in them. So fantasy sports was something that I talked about and thought about, and I'd be on the beach and be like, look at this fucking magazine. I can make rankings. Like, in fact, and here we are, like at the age of 30. Now, granted, I don't have your home dynamic, being able to quit my job. I'm still a union employee, but in terms of a side hustle, it's opened up the doors and a level of happiness within me that I used to dream about. I mean, you see what I do on Twitter. I try to hustle. I'm out there and
well, it's part of it's an obsession that you could put it's like a obsession you could put your time and energy towards that isn't the vices that caused you so much trouble in the past.
Right.
I don't like so you all you think about is this player and this ranking, what you're going to do, creative ways to profess all the fantasy information, because that's really it. Because there's a lot of people out there who give fantasy.
Oh, it's crowded, man.
It's crowded. So you gotta be a voice. You have to have a voice.
Exactly.
Yeah. So to put that out there and do it in a way that's creative, that's a great way push your energy as opposed to what you were doing before.
Right.
And speaking of addictions, like I think I'm addicted to. I'm beginning to believe that there should be the type of, I'm sure you went to counseling and treatment.
Sure.
There's got to
sure.
be treatment for cell phone addiction.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, the problem with I'm addicted to the cell
Yeah.
phone. I can't go
Yeah.
like 10 minutes without looking at it.
I know.
And it's kind of ruins, like, but here's the problem. It's not as destructive short
Well,
term.
is it? I mean, that's
It's not as destructive. Like you
subjective.
can't focus. It is destructive, but it's not as as an alcoholic
Right.
or a drug
Yeah, it's not
addict.
as
It
bad as
ruins your
nicotine.
life. You're stealing. You're doing everything. It's obvious how much it's destroying everybody around you. But when you're only constantly on your cell phone, it's not really as destructive. Like you can live a daily life.
You can live a daily life.
It's harder. It's harder to justify saying to yourself, "Yeah, I need help." As a cell phone addict, that's a. But I've always wondered about the cell phone thing. I think it's going to become a thing.
Oh, sure. I mean, and it should be. But I think I can justify it. Like, look, if I'm on my phone, I run a fantasy football Slack channel with several hundred people in there. I'm running my buddy's Instagram account that I was talking to you about the other day.
Yeah.
I'm on my personal Twitter account, or I'm doing something for Disturbing the Peace networking, or I'm talking to somebody from DraftKings or FootballDiehards.com. I'm doing something, so I can rationalize it by being like, well, most of the time that I'm on the phone, I'm networking or I'm trying to do something, in a business sense. It's a fun business sense, but at the end of the day, I'm generating, some coin from it. So technically I'm working, which is true. And which is what you're doing too. It's not like you're picking your nose on your phone all day long. Or, you're trying to grow your brand. You said you're at the tip of the iceberg, and so I guess we could rationalize it like that. But I'm an alcoholic. I can rationalize anything I can do. I do, I can.
Well, yeah.
My wiring is different.
Right. I mean, but it's still, you wish that you were more. I wish I was more engaged with people. I mean, I feel like I used to be. I feel like I don't want to talk to as many people anymore because I'm on the phone.
It's a healthy distance.
I guess, yeah, I know. But I think that it's going to be a thing eventually. I think it's going to be one of those things that people. I think eventually it's going to turn into something that is more mainstream. A mainstream addiction. A mainstream addiction.
Sure.
Is there such thing as a mainstream addiction? Drugs, alcohol.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, the cell phones. I mean, look in the stands at a game. I mean, everybody's on the fucking phone. Everybody.
I know. I was watching Damian Lillard's shot against Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
The shot that he made.
Unnecessary 3-pointer from 50
well,
feet
whatever.
out.
Well, the buzzer or whatever,
Yeah.
and some ESPN posted something in was slow motion, and you saw him shooting in slow motion. All like half the stands were on the floor. They paid floor seats. All had their phone out filming it.
Wow, yeah.
I know. It's like
they could post it, or
I was at my daughter's recital and I wanted to the other day, and it's such a push and pull. Her end of the year recital of like how much because I want to watch it, but I also want to film it.
Well, you're watching it through the camera, though. I mean, you are watching it still.
Yeah, right? I know. It's just different, though.
It's not the same.
It's not the same. Like they're all so.
We are fucked up.
But,
what have we become?
Exactly, and if you go from the kids' side, if you see it from the kids' side, it's like literally the paparazzi out there.
Right.
And they're just looking into everybody holding their phone.
Yeah.
The whole audience is phones.
Yeah. That's where we're at. That is where we're at. And there's a bigger issue. You're driving, the phone is next to us, distracted. I mean, it's.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely an offender. I've definitely offended the red light honked someone honked behind me because we were at the red
Sure.
light. It turned green. I was checking who called.
Sure.
Um,
We've all been guilty of it.
yeah.
It is an addiction, though. It's an addiction. But I think if you do a lot of work from your phone, which I think we do,
Yeah, it's just got
you
to
can
be a way to just balance it. But
Right.
that's the type of addiction that because I've never really been a substance abuser, so I'm fortunate enough not to like it that much.
Oh, I could turn anything into an addiction, and I've learned that in the
Yeah,
halls of AA. I can make. I mean, I can't have one lollipop. I got to have
yeah.
three. I can't have a scoop of ice cream. I got to have three, and I rationalize
See,
it. Never been an
yeah,
asshole for eating too much ice cream, so I can have more and more.
the rationalizing always comes from for me in terms of anything that I do that's I believe is like a vice or like
Mm-hmm.
eating poorly.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just do it the rest of this week.
That's
Next
right.
week I'll start.
We'll start. Yeah.
That's like dieting,
Yep.
Next week,
Yep.
so I'll have a great week this week. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Next week I'll
Yeah.
start the old diet.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll have a cheat week, not a cheat day, but a cheat week. Mitch, this is up your alley. Mitch could hop all over us with
Oh,
the.
Mitch is it's personal trainer.
Oh
Yeah.
man,
You know it.
I respect it though. I respect it. I have said this before. I mean, Mitch, I got the utmost respect for you, man, and Ruben, in the sense where I've quit smoking, I've quit drinking, and eating and balancing all that has been harder. I have found that to be a lot harder, which is. I used to love to drink. Now I love to eat, and I don't give a shit because I've never been an asshole for eating too much ice cream. That's how much.
Yeah. Well, with the
I've never,
kids too.
yeah,
Taking them all
exactly.
out to the ice cream store. How are you not going to get one?
Well, right. Yeah, they're getting one. We were at Dairy Queen today, and then I'm watching a couple pudgy kids walk through Dairy Queen. I'm like, wow, we are fat America, and meanwhile, my daughter's double fisted.
Yeah.
But she's skinny though. We're gonna go out and run afterward. Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, Fred, this was good, man. This was really good. We'll get you back on.
It's
Soon.
fun. Good. Usually when I go on to podcasts, I'm talking strictly about the feed, and
That's not what
I've
this
never
show's
really
about.
discussed around it, like what goes on around it and all that stuff.
It's
so
important. It's important for people to
Yeah.
know that you're not
I'm not
the man behind the feed.
I'm not just like a goober who sits around in his mom's basement messing
And you're
with
not
people.
cold. You're not cold either.
Not at all. Yeah.
But-
I'm actually, I do have sympathy.
You're a good guy.
For people. I don't double. I don't get people twice in the same day.
Mitch,
like
you know what that means? I mean, this guy's got. If he was to retweet something right now, we'd have 75,000 people that viewed it. I mean, he can.
Tremendous.
He hurts feelings.
Yeah.
This guy
But I
can
don't
hurt
feel
your
bad about it because it's never come close to hurting anybody's career, even a smidgen. So by posting their old posts, so it doesn't bother me.
No, it's good. It's good. It's good for business. I saw something the other day or today about Thon Maker. I mean, you go back too. Some of these takes to 2000.
Yeah, those are sent to me. I would never be looking up Thon Maker, but a lot of them I have in advance. When I know there's a game, like I have to be prepared for before the Bucks Raptors game last night. I had to be prepared that the Bucks were going to lose.
Right.
That's big when they lose, when the series is over.
Yeah.
So that's big. So I had to be prepared for that.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Well, there's a lesson here tonight, and the lesson is, before we wrap up, I mean, some dipshit CC'd you or at you about one of my Patrick Mahomes takes.
Oh, that was a great one. I mean, that was a really good one. You didn't think he was going to be top 15 all season.
Well, you gotta
had
think
one of the
about
best fantasy seasons ever.
But listen, Fred, the Kansas City Chiefs, first of all, Alex Smith was coming off one of the best seasons of his long career down in Kansas City. So it would make you wonder, well, on one side, it was the Kansas City Chiefs knew what they had in Mahomes. But I'm thinking to myself, all right, there's not a big enough sample size on this kid. He's getting thrown into the flames. We know he's got a big arm. Top 12, like right out the gates. I don't know. It's a pass happy league, but I cannot go there. But I guess it does make sense where they moved on from Alex Smith, which was strange because he had a great year the season before, and obviously Patrick Mahomes was QB1 last year, so it was a terrible take on my part, and I was exposed but usually when somebody directs you to somebody, they want there to be some some guilt. They put you on blast, and next thing you know, you and I are shooting the shit, and we're buddies, and you'll be getting a T-shirt or two from this podcast. You're on the podcast. I feel like I can reach out to you. You can reach out to me, and relationships are formed. So that's using the internet properly. It goes from one.
It's good too. It's not the first time this has happened. It won't be the last, and I've made a lot of good people on just by doing that.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
I also like some of the people that I when I first started the feed used to come into my DMs all the time. They're not, they're not analysts or in the media, but they're just regular people. But I've been talking to them throughout the entire 4 years I've had the feed. So it's
you stay true.
You
keep it real, yo.
Although I can't get him as much. I can't answer him as much because now I have 8,000 people in my DMs every day. So trying to give me stuff, and I tell you, 75% of it's the same stuff. So someone will send me the same thing that I've already posted. It happens all the time. It happens like 75% of the time. The same thing I've already posted, someone will send it to me. I got one for you. I've already posted it.
Yes, you have to keep some type of inventory of what you've done, and
I remember it. I have a good. I pretty much remember them.
Your memory's good, yeah.
Yeah, so I remember if I posted something. But if I posted 2 years ago, I'll post it again. But then someone will say, "Well, that's where journalists get mad. You already posted that already. You already got me on it 2 years ago." Sorry, buddy. I had 150,000 less followers back then. So maybe I want 150,000 more to see it.
Times are different. I'm in the big leagues now.
Yeah.
Well, good stuff, Fred. This was good.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Yeah, anytime. And
we'll
glad
talk
that
soon.
You reached out. I'm glad that I retweeted that Patrick Mahomes take.
Yeah, and also Ezekiel Elliott a couple years ago you got me.
Oh yeah, I don't remember what did you say about Ezekiel Elliott.
I don't.
He said he wasn't going to be good. It wasn't going to be good.
People had him in the top 5 his rookie year, and I was like, I kind of went contrarian there. He was a talent. Well, there he was. And then I get people messaging me, and they're like, "Hey man, you made it! Freezing Cold Takes retweeted you. You made it, man. You really made it." And I'm all right. Okay.
You must have had the check then, because I only check for checks. If I then I was searching. So
This is 2 years ago. We're going a couple years now. So not anymore. Rub it in. Good. If you know anybody at Twitter, let me know, please. That would be huge. It's good for them. I don't care. I'll sleep just the same. All right, Mr. Segal. Have a good one, and I'll be in touch with you. So.
All right. Thanks a lot.